Hello, my name is Jeremy, this is Red Beans Recording, and today I want to talk to you about one of my favorite types of effects / generators for ambient and beautiful tones, and that is called a granulizer. Imagine if you could take a tiny slice or slices of a sound and then play them back with those little slices moving around and generating new pitches or new timbres for you. And imagine if you had really fine control over the direction of those slices and stuff like that. And that's basically what a granulizer is. It's a type of sampling that creates new instruments and new sounds and new soundscapes from tiny slices or grains of an original sound. Sometimes this can be an effect, sometimes this can be an instrument. My favorite ones are the ones that you can play back and create soundscapes and like wild sounds out of original material. So I went and grabbed a bunch of demos and some not demos of some of the granulizers that are available out there. And we're gonna go through my favorites and talk about how they work and why they're cool, with lots of sound examples, obviously. Let's start with the one that I think is one of my favorites, and this is called, This is called Granite. You can see Granite is already just doing a thing. Good job, Granite. A lot of the times Granulizer will have a waveform output so you can see what's being sampled at that time. And you can see the waveform and you can change the range that the thing is playing back. You can see it's playing back this sample right here. And yeah, that's kind of like one of the hallmarks of a granulizer. So I can choose like this little bit right here. But we're gonna use some custom sound sources because I really like the way this stuff sounds in granulizers. So I'm gonna go over to a rip of all of the Hollow Knight soundtracks and sounds, which I got off the internet, and you can too if you know how to use Google. And let me go to where the music is. Actually, let's do this. There, nice. Okay, so we're gonna use the Green Path main soundtrack thing, and this is what it sounds like. The soundtrack for Hollow Knight is absolutely wonderful. So let's go back to this. Cool. So we just dropped this into an existing preset of which you can see there's a fair amount here, and then there's all of these presets here, and you can, oh that's cool, templates, history, and if you log in, I'm assuming there's more stuff you can get to, but I'm not doing that. And I just dragged and dropped this from the file browser here, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so what's going on? Well, we got a start and end point for the grain. You can see that we are sort of graining around there. It's playing back all the individual grains slower, so that's cool. So let's start messing with some of the things here. We have the ability to change the attack and release, and if I go over here and start playing, I think we're gonna get some more stuff. So you can hear it's doing exactly what I said earlier. It is sampling little tiny pieces of this piece, and I'm able to reconstitute them into a new melody. So there's some other controls on here. Space, which is the frequency of grain triggers. Speed, which is the traversal of the grains. So now it's speeding up that little thing there. Density, which is the number of grains and grain length. And then the envelope shape of the grain. These are all pretty standard controls. So as you can see at center, the attack and decay times are equal. This is gonna be probably less decay, there's probably gonna be more attack. And then you can choose reverse, which I really, really like to have as a feature on these kinds of things. So now our grains are reversed. Very pretty, right? There are LFOs here. You can have it auto LFO with this, and you can pick different shapes. And then, one of the cool things about this is if you right-click on here, if you click on the ring here, you can automate this, just sort of like sweep. And then we'll play it back. Something like this. So now, if I'm playing this, I still have those automated things going, and I have some really, really cool variety to what's playing back, even more so than I already did. Just getting this really cool instant soundscape from this thing, which is absolutely beautiful. I could pick a different area over here if I wanted to, like this. So let's go ahead and de-automate these by right-clicking on them. Cool. And then we have some effects. We have a drive. We have a sample reduction. We have a filter, which we can de-automate here. So yeah, just a really cool, beautiful, easy to use instrument. If you turn off gate, it's just going to play for you. So if you just want to sort of like create an auto bed, that. So that's Granite. Definitely recommend. I don't know how much this costs, but it's definitely recommended to check it out as an option if you're looking for a granulizer. All right, next up on our list of my favorites is Audio Damage Quanta. And this is another one that you can play as an instrument as opposed to it just being sort of a weird effect. The cool thing about Quanta is that it includes an oscillator, so you can sort of stack your sample with a pure oscillator to get sort of a more grounded sort of tone out of something. So let's experiment with this a little bit. You can hear the oscillator. I'm going to turn that down real quick. Let's increase our grains and increase their randomness. You can see that the grain shape here is determined by a nice little UI. Let's see. I want these to play in reverse. Let's play random. And we need... So you can see that the grain sort of like sample length is determined by these little bars here, which is kind of cool. Like, you know, it's going to be grabbing from that area. You can set the number of grains and set that to random so that it retriggers randomly on each thing. Tune you can set to random, which I'm not going to do. Position, obviously, is position in the sample, and I believe we can automate that, which is really, really cool. We can change the width of the grains. We can actually send the oscillator to the grains, which is really cool. And we can change the level and randomness of the level of each grains too. Cool. So now if we go into this mod matrix, we can start modulating some of this stuff. So I want to go, for instance, to the grain position. Grain position. There we go. And I want this to be modulated by LFO1. Let's go ahead and go to our LFO, turn it down a bit. You have a lot of control over the LFOs, just like you did in Continuo, which is that plugin that I recently reviewed from them. So now if we go here, we can see that we're getting randomized position from the thing, which is really cool. So what else could we modulate? The grain length. Now we have the oscillator's input into the granulizer going through this thing. Let's go ahead and turn this down even more so we can get kind of a drone. That is so goddamn cool. I love that so much. Let's try a different sound just because one can. So that's Audio Damage Quanta in my top 5 favorite granulizers that exist in the world that you can have right now. Also not very expensive, which is pretty dope. All right, next up is one that comes from Max for Live. If you have Ableton Live Suite, you can get Max for Live, which is Max MSP used to make audio effects and instruments and MIDI processors that you don't normally get otherwise. And there's a lot of really cool shit, but one of the oldest and coolest things that came with it is Granulator 2. There we go. So yeah, Granulator 2, free, Max for Live. I just dropped an audio file in there. Let's play with it a little bit. So very similar to the last two that we've seen, we have the ability to move through the position. And we can see the grains working. Ooh, Music Box is really good for this kind of thing. Okay, so what's going on here? Well, the grain frequency, you can see that's responding there, and there's our little grains. Look how happy they are. You can key track the grain, so depending on where you hit that, it will change the thing. You can change randomness of it, and the spread of it, which is pretty dope. File position, which is kind of self-explanatory. You can also key track that. Spray, which is sort of the, I'm gonna spray that goddamn grain all over the place. Spray it, spray that grain. Let's go back to Fog Canyon. Okay, cool. So if we spray this more, there we go. Let's go ahead and take this off and off so that we're focusing on, we don't have to worry about the key changing the thing. All right, we can turn an LFO on here, and the LFO will be applied to some things in a second. If we turn on scan, it's going to scan around the position of the wave. This is the grain shape here, as far as I know. So here how we just changed it to more of a ramp down, and we got a sharp sort of thing going on there. It's pretty cool. See that we just shaped it even more. So scan's going to actually scan through the rest of the wave. We don't want it to do that. We're going to stay right here where we are. I did just assign the file position to the LFO. Excuse me, I assigned the LFO to the file position. So now we're getting a little bit of extra movement through the file. And you can actually send this a live signal in and use it as an effect as opposed to, well, not an effect, but it's still an instrument. But you can actually, I could send this audio file or anything happening directly to the granulator, and it would input all that. So if you hit the button over here for view, we are now viewing amplitude envelope and some other useful tools. So I want this to be more of a pad, so let's give ourselves extra release, not that much attack. Change the pitch. You can have the pitch be random. If you want to go for like more soundscape stuff, I'm focusing on pads here, but like this is really useful for just really glitchy stuff, which I'll show you a little bit in some of the other granulators. Frequency modulation. We'll give you everything from warble to almost like a ring mod sort of sound. And obviously you can change that, assign that to the envelope, key, velocity, and EA. Here is your filter and FM envelope. Here's a filter. And here's another filter. There are endless possibilities with granulizers in terms of how you will get new soundscapes and stuff like that. As I said, I'm focusing on pads here, but there's a lot of ways that you can get much more glitchy soundscapes and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and move into something that's a little bit like that. Biotech is an interesting one that has a demo that blasts white noise into the signal. So we're not going to spend a lot of time with this one, but I do want to talk about it just because it's really cool. So if we go back to our interface here, oh, there's that white noise. It's not part of the thing. And it's really cool. This is cool. Let's see what it does here. Fuck that white noise. That's cool. Well, fuck this one. Thanks, Biotech, for making it impossible to even demo your shit. And finally, we have up Palindrome, which is by Glitch Machines. This is a really crazy looking one. So I'm just going to show you some of the presets on this because it is wild, and I love the interface. And this one is very, very, very cool for soundscapes. This is the really experimental side of granular stuff. God bless you, Glitch Machines. Y'all crazy. I'm going to just tacitly recommend this one because I really wanted to make this video and I didn't want to sit down and learn these. I know the kind of granulizer that I'm looking for, and the Quanta and Granite and the Ableton Max for Live granulator are my top picks. I really, really like them. But I would probably buy this one for like crazy ass sound design stuff because I love the interface. Biotech, I think would be interesting, but I'm not going to sit there and blast my ears with white noise to figure it out. So that's been my roundup of granulizers. I actually expected to like tell you about 10 that I love, but there are 3 that I love. So I'm going to play us out with some more soundscapes from Granite. My name is Jeremy. This is Red Beans Recording, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.